to the Q Code. Your curiosity quest starts here.
Welcome everybody into the Q Code podcast this week. Thank you for joining us. Danny, Travis, Alan here to try something new, I believe. Not necessarily... It's going to have the same feel. We're just doing a little less. We've kind of talked over the last few weeks of how we wanted to cut down a little bit. I think
less in the fact that less is more.
We got a little,
necessarily because it's less questions. We're not going to each come up with a topic or a question. We're going to focus more on one main topic, but be able to actually have like a good, decent conversation about that topic. Felt
like we were rushing a lot, and even though you're probably thinking 2 hours was rushing. But when
you're trying to transition from like one topic to another, and a lot of times, obviously, they had nothing to do with each other, which is fine. It can be interesting, but to just talk about it in a smooth transition, even at times, it's like you could go through something that was very like technical based and then transition into something that's like very just conversational based and back,
Yeah. So we decided, just kind of with the way that we felt things were going, that we wanted to cut back a little bit on that, maybe cut the time down so that we're not going so long, but it also gives us an opportunity, like Danny said, to have a little bit more meaningful conversations. So today we have the topic that we want to talk about. Now, the question here is, what would you sell a year of your life for? I'm going to have Danny expand on that in just a little bit, but I have a quick question for us today, and that is, what is the grossest thing you've ever eaten? Now, when I first proposed this question and posted it to our group, apparently that was too cryptic for Daniel. He was very...
Well, you can take it many different ways. If you think about it, what was the exact question you asked?
What is the grossest thing you've eaten?
Yeah. And then
you've ever eaten.
And then I responded with, like, taste, because taste would be one facet of grossness, right? It could be texture. That's another facet of grossness. And it could be societal, which is what I brought up.
And see, and he likes to complicate things more than they really need to be. Most people, like, you ask me that question, I'd be like, oh, yeah. And I about 3-4 things pop into my mind. And there was just extra questions. So I'm going to clarify. You specifically, now think about this yourself, listeners. You specifically, what is the grossest thing that you have ever eaten? And I'll turn the time over to you guys first before I tell you what I've got.
Okay. But I think by saying to the listeners, Q-coders, if you will, what's the grossest thing you've ever eaten? We want to know. So I think Trav will be posting something.
We will.
On social media.
I will be posting.
Or you can go to our website, wherever, and you can just let us know what the grossest thing you've ever eaten is.
Not that, for example... the fact that we're even talking about this, Danny brought up the fact, like, well, if I've eaten a cricket but it tasted good, society believes that that's gross. No, just like if you've eaten something and it made you want to barf, tell us about it. So, Danny, you go.
It's like a chocolate covered cricket,
Yeah. All right.
You tasted like chocolate and nuts, kind of.
Yeah, it's gross.
All right.
You go ahead.
So, yeah.
What do you, Screech?
So
from, Saved by the Bell.
Did he?
Remember that episode?
Did he eat chocolate covered?
Is this Saved by the Bell? Where he gives out candy to people and like, oh, that's really good. Thank you. Or, no, it's Zach that does it.
Yeah, Zach Morris.
He has candy and he gives them to Principal, what's his name? Belding?
Yeah.
And he's like, Belding. Oh, thank you, that's so good. And he keeps giving them all day. And then he's finally like, hey, you want... Or he shows them the box and like, chocolate-covered crickets? He's like, oh!
Oh, wasn't that the episode where like it was beach day, but he was in...
Yeah, because he kept trying to ditch school.
So yeah, he's like, watch, so I will be there at every place. Yeah, I'll be there at every place you guys go on beach day, on ditch day or whatever, even though he's supposed to be in detention. So he kept figuring out ways to make Belding like have to leave.
I just want to point out that I am so proud of you guys right now. Like, I have never been more proud. because number one, like, I mean, I've seen all of
it's
Saved
not
by the
Friends.
Bell, but it's this specific episode is not ringing a bell to me, but it is to you. Ha, get it? Ringing a bell.
Oh,
but no pun intended, actually. But you guys are just make me happy right now.
Well, and then the very end, after he showed him that it was crickets, at the very end, he's like, "You want some candy?" And he's like, "I'm not eating your crickets." He's like, "No, this is
Don't
not
worry,
the
it's not
crickets,
crickets."
whatever." And so he eats one. He's like, "Oh, thank you." He's like, "What is this?" He's like,
Grasshopper.
"No." He's like, "Caramel caterpillars."
Okay, now it's starting to
He's
to
like,
ring a
"Oh!" And he
bell.
runs to the
But
bathroom again.
Because he was worried, because I think it was like right in the transition time of the show when Zach Morris obviously liked Kelly Kapowski.
Oh yeah,
But
and then she was going to hang out with AC Slater all day.
but AC Slater was in the picture now, and he was worried that if she hung out with AC Slater all day, that she might like him instead of Zach.
he's such a punk. Love Zach, but he was a punk. But all right, let's get to let's
that
get
had
to the
nothing
food.
to do with.
It was a good tangent, though. I love Saved by the Bell.
Some chocolate.
Anyway, so I thought about this, and yeah, I mean, I've eaten things that I didn't like, obviously, before. But in the end, I'm like, what is the one thing, though, that really just made me sick almost? And that was Shanghai rice.
Shanghai rice.
And I'll explain why Shanghai rice. Like, it was so traumatic to me as a child that I almost didn't watch Shanghai Noon because I didn't like the name.
It's such crap.
Because it had the word Shanghai.
Oh
in it.
my gosh, that is
You love that movie.
such a stretch.
So anyway, as a Boy Scout, when I was younger, I think I was about 13 at the time, maybe 14. We decided to go backpacking into the Uintas as our scout troop. Well, our scout troop at the time, I grew up and we were in this small scout troop. It was a Japanese-based scout troop. And we had 2 leaders that went with us, being my dad and my friend Doug's dad. And then it was me, Steve, my brother Steve, and my friend Doug. So it was 5 of us. Decided to go on a backpacking trip into the Uintas, packed everything up, started hiking in. We get in about 3 or 4 miles, I would say, find a lake and decide to camp out. We get there and I could not understand, but like I was dying. Like my muscles ached. I was sweating. I was so happy that we were finally done with this hike. And I get in there. Everyone else seemed fairly fresh for whatever reason. And then we get down. We start getting ready, setting up camp. My dad's like, "Okay, who has the tent?" I'm like, "I do." It's like, "Oh, okay, thanks. Bring it over here." It's like, "Okay." "Wait, who has the toilet paper?" I'm like, "I do." It's like, "Okay." It's like, "All right, who has the and then he just starts naming off, like, I can't remember everything. Like, the hatchet. I'm like, "I do." He's like,
Why did you
"Why
have
do you have everything?" And I'm like, throughout the days building up to this trip, my dad would just hand me stuff and be like, "Pack it in your backpack." And I think he thought he was evenly distributing things between him and my brother and myself, but he just kept coming to me instead and handing me stuff. So my pack weighed like twice as much as theirs the whole time, and I didn't realize this the whole time. So anyway, part of the things that we packed, though, were MREs. Have you ever had an MRE?
Yeah, remember when we used to hang out in our youth and you wanted to, you made us all play Army.
Oh, yeah.
And we would just do tasks for you, and then that would allow us to move up ranks. And one of them was we had to eat an MRE.
Yes.
Is it MRE?
Yeah, meal ready to eat.
Okay.
So, yeah, we get set up for camp. And, of course, for whatever reason in this area of the Uintas, it rained every single day at 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. And so, sure enough, we get everything set up. We're starting to cook our MREs. And then it just starts downpouring. So the only thing that we have is Shanghai rice that we could get warmed up, start eating it. I was starving at this point. It was the grossest thing that me and my brother had ever eaten.
What is in Shanghai rice?
I don't know. It was just rice with vegetables.
That's it? That's the grossest thing you've ever eaten?
But it tasted so bad. And so like
No
we
more No more rice and vegetables. No more food of my people.
First of all, it's a totally different country. Second,
rice and vegetables. You're saying that Japanese people don't eat rice and vegetables?
well, they do, but not in Shanghai style.
I didn't say Shanghai. I just said rice and vegetables.
Then I guess most of the world eats rice and vegetables. But yeah, so that was the grossest thing. And I was so sick after that, just as far as like I was so hungry. The only thing I had left that saved my life was we had a little package, and inside of it was a pound cake, a chocolate pound cake. It was probably terrible, dry, and hard. But it was the most delicious thing I've ever eaten in my life because I was without food for like 12 hours.
It's like I lost 20 pounds in 2 days. All right, Alan, do you have anything that you would like to share?
Well, this one was Danny's fault, which is why I ate it.
Oh yeah, this was a good one.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, I got to keep my $10. I know that much.
Oh, so when we were kids, I loved pickles, and we had this huge jar, like it must have been from Costco or something like that.
Well, I don't think Costco was around back then. I think it was Price Savers at the time.
Fine, Price Savers.
Pretty sure Costco's around for a while, but price savers.
It's just a giant jar of pickles, and all the pickles were gone, so it was just like a quarter full. And this is a big jar, so we're talking like it was like almost like
a gallon size jar.
It was like a quarter full still of just straight pickle juice. And Danny was like, "You love pickles so much, I'll give you $10 if you." And this is, I don't know how old we were.
I was probably like 12. You were probably like 8.
I don't know if you even had $10.
Oh, I did.
But
He wouldn't have given it to you.
I was at
anyway.
an age when $10 was like, oh my gosh, $10 whole dollars.
I'm pretty sure I made $10 that morning at our card shop.
Okay.
Probably from your neighbors, just stealing money from them.
So he's like, I'll give you $10 if you drink all the pickle juice in that jar. And I was like, I love pickles. Okay, I'll do it.
It's easy.
So I start downing it. I'm like, this is pretty easy, until I got to like just a little tiny bit left in there.
There's
And
probably
I was
like a quarter inch left in the bottom of the jar.
No,
But
I swear I was within 2 swallows of finishing it.
it was
And
like,
then,
That
well,
is a
I'm
quarter
telling the story, and it makes it more dramatic. So shut up. There's like 2 swallows left, probably a 32nd of an inch.
yeah, but you left out a very crucial point, which is I said I will give you $10 if you drink it all.
Yeah, so if I drink it all, and I was almost done with it, and then I just got super nauseous and dizzy, and just bent over and puked my guts out. Just
Yeah, I mean, like
and since I didn't finish the last of it before I puked, he's like, "You don't get your $10."
you were never getting that $10, just so you know.
And
He
it
was
took
close.
me.
He almost got it.
I went from like pickles were my favorite thing ever to like for 10 years, I could not eat a pickle. If I tried to eat a pickle, my body would reject me.
Literally, like ruined his life.
But luckily
Pickles.
now I can eat pickles again.
Well, good. I'm so happy
He's
that
healed.
turned around.
He's gone through enough therapy to get there.
All right. Well, so it was really hard actually because I've eaten a lot of crap stuff. But people of the Mormon faith, a lot of people who go on the LDS missions will have usually some pretty good stories because you're going foreign countries. Like my dad ended up eating a cat. He didn't know it at the time. It was their pet, and you know they brought him in and for this dinner, and they're eating it. And he's like, "Oh, where's your cat?" And they're like, "You're eating him."
Where was this?
It's in Chile, and
Trav,
So
you
it-
went to the country of...
I went to the country of New Jersey, and I know you're like, well, that's like American food. Yeah. I was Spanish speaking, so I had to learn all that. I was immersed in that culture. You have a question now?
Yeah, so in Chile, were they just super poor?
They're super poor, like
so they're
way
like,
poor.
we have nothing to eat but our pet?
Yep.
Oh,
So they're just going to kill our
So I
cat.
was going to be like in China, like people, do they eat real
It's like a
dogs,
delicacy.
though? But yeah, it's not like that's their pet and then they eat it.
Yeah, no,
Eat dogs
just-
like they're chickens.
it's pretty gross.
Like they're hot dogs.
Ugh. But so I mean, yeah, I was in New Jersey, but I still had some. I mean, like menudo is totally gross. That's probably up there on my tops. Menudo, if you've never had it, it's just basically like a soup. It's got a bunch of crap in there, but the main thing is cow stomach, and it's just the lining of the stomach. They look like lasagna noodles, and they are just super duper gross. Now, if that's your culture, that's actually one of the. It's like a dish that is made for special occasions, and it was super duper disgusting.
Wait, so is like lasagna?
It looks like the stomach lining that is in there just is all wavy like lasagna noodles.
Oh, but it's not. Sorry,
It's not
a
lasagna.
noodle. So
it is stomach.
It's kind of like haggis.
It's intestines is what it is. Maybe it's haggis. I don't know. Is that what?
I don't know. My uncle used to always teach us.
I don't know what it is.
Like we had to recite. He'd be like, "Okay, what is haggis?" And we'd have to be like, "It's a sheep's heart, liver, and lungs cooked inside of its own stomach."
Yeah, that's pretty gross. So no, I've never had that, but I also had like chicharrones, which are like cow or it's pig skin, and you can cook them a good way. But this one particular time, this lady basically boiled it in water and then drenched it in this like red sauce, and it was all rubbery and gooey, and I mean, I just had to eat it, and I'd just take a sip of water after every single bite. It was so gross. Even thinking about it, I'm like,
So you have to eat it.
You don't have to, but like somebody who has like no money is inviting you in and giving you dinner, and they're basically making like the best dish that they can, and I'm not going to turn it down. I'm going to wolf it down, and I'm going to have a smile while I do it because I don't want to offend them. There was this other time we were just going around, and this just strangers invited us in. See, it's funny because like a stranger invites me in somewhere, I'm like, hell no, I'm not going in there. But when you're a missionary, you're like, yeah, this would be a good time to talk about Jesus. And so you're like, whatever.
You're actively looking for strangers to let you in.
Yeah,
is
we're like,
what
just
you're
let us
doing.
in. And this was dark, and this family lets us in. They're like, we're having dinner. Would you like to sit down? We're like, sure. So we sit down. They gave us some good food, but then they topped it off with all this cheese. And I like cheese, except for this cheese tasted exactly how elephants smell. What? Every single bite, I was like, I am at the zoo.
How does it taste like elephant smell?
Your taste and your smell are very connected, right?
Yeah. But usually like the opposite.
No, but so like
Your smell
I was
affects your
yeah,
taste.
but I was tasting it, and I could tell
smell.
like it's almost like I was eating elephant crap. Like that's what it. Like I've never had elephant crap, but I imagine that's what it was. But before we move on, one last thing, and this isn't mine. This actually just came to me, and this is not food, but my brother Trevor probably has wolfed down probably the grossest thing ever, and even thinking about it makes me want to vomit. And it was he was. His friend was spending the night, and they were like older, like, I mean, like adults, but like his friend was, wasn't going home or whatever, spend the night. And he was just like crashing on my brother's floor. And, my brother kind of like leaned over, I think the lights were off. He was thirsty, grabbed a bottle and just chugged. And he didn't chug his Gatorade. What he did was he took his buddy's Gatorade bottle, who was spitting his chew into it.
Oh,
and he just wolfed it. Oh, he just wolfed it down. Oh,
Wait, did he not taste that?
No, he did, but I'm dry heaving at the moment. He just took a chug. Like, I mean, if you ever just like, you got a Gatorade, you're going to take a chug. Well, it's all it's all in your mouth first, and you swallow before you even know. And I mean,
sorry. And the way you said he wolfed it down, I thought you meant he like drank the whole bottle.
No, just one big old gulp. So anyway, keep that in mind, guys. If you can beat that, please, please let us know. So yeah, I am gonna post on our social media sites this question. I do like seriously. grossest things you've ever eaten. Let us know. I'd like to see who can top.
See if you can
drinking
beat.
a gulp.
The bar has been set high. You have to beat Shanghai rice.
You have to beat rice and vegetables.
But it has to be like freeze-dried package, sitting there for several years, and then re-warmed up by some kind of little like bubbly device. Or pickle juice, or what was yours again, Trev? The Menudo. Yeah. And or chew
spit juice.
Yeah. Pick which one of those would be the best.
But not just any. It's your friend's chew spit juice.
I mean, you know who it is, at least. Could be worse.
Guess.
Could be a stranger.
I guess. I don't
Doesn't
know.
matter.
I don't know.
I don't care if it's somebody I know or they're a stranger. To me, it's not mine.
Does it? Yeah.
Actually,
would it
even
matter
if it was mine?
Like if you had to drink urine, would it matter whose it was? Just as long as it's somebody who just is really hydrated.
Probably. Yeah, like I would want a healthy person's urine over like a sickly person, but
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to our main topic. So the question is, what would you sell a year of your life for?
Don't get hung up on the language, darling. There's nothing sinister here. It's all standard boilerplate. Paragraph 1 states that I, the devil, a not-for-profit corporation with offices in Purgatory Hell and Los Angeles, will give you 7 wishes to use as you see fit.
7? Why not 8?
Why not 6? I don't know. 7 just sounds right. Paragraph 2 outlines the manner in which you'll pay for the aforementioned wishes.
What? Are you kidding? I have to give you my soul?
After you've had your wishes, of course.
But it's my soul. I can't give you my soul.
would you give up your soul, Trav, for 7 wishes?
No, I don't know.
I don't know.
If I could just, it's 7 wishes, so it's after the wishes, so maybe I would just
do 6 wishes
and never.
Well, isn't that what he ends up doing in the I
don't know, it's Bedazzled, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, with Elizabeth Hurley and Brendan Fraser.
Yeah. It's like your favorite movie growing up.
I can't even tell you if I've actually seen that movie. So what do you mean it's my favorite movie?
I just remember you talk about it all the time. You're like, Brendan Fraser is my favorite.
You are smoking. I do not know which.
I'm just kidding. I made all that up, but I wanted to see if I could catch you in something and you'd be like, oh yeah.
Oh, you got me, guys. I love Brendan Fraser. But all right, so expand a little bit more on the actual question.
So, I mean, how this even popped into my mind is something that we could go over and explore. There was recently a study that I heard about that was done where they've tried to figure out what is the average lifespan of a person who played in the NFL versus an average person who had not played in the NFL. And at the end of the study, they found that the average life expectancy for somebody who is an ex-NFL player lived 69 years, whereas the average life expectancy for somebody who was not was 76 years. So in essence, it costs 7 years of their life. So it kind of as I thought about it, it was more of a thought experiment in the fact that basically now that the study's out there, anybody who decides to go into play football and go into the NFL is in essence deciding if they are willing to trade the lifestyle, the benefits, the love they have for the game for 7 years of their life. Mm-hmm. And so just kind of thinking of it in that aspect, I started to think, well, would I ever willingly give up a year of my life? And that's where I started the whole thought. So that's the question is and I'll push it to you and Alan to kind of just expand on this for a little bit, but how much would you value a year of your life? And how would you try to quantify that? So
going to the actual scenario of the NFL player, okay? Because I asked this question to my coworkers today at lunch, and because I told them what we were talking about today, and just wanted to get their take, and I told them the exact same thing. On average, NFL players live 7 years less than an average person, or than a normal non-NFL player person. Yeah. And would you trade that lifestyle for those years of your life? And immediately my boss was like, yep. And that was it. And then he thought about it for a second. He's like, all right, well, it does depend because he has 6 children. And his youngest right now is 3, I believe. And he is turning 50 in November. So you think about it, like he would have 19 years left in that aspect. But he brought up a good point, or maybe this just came out in our conversation. Because he said at that point, he then reverted back and he said, no, I wouldn't, because that is, I only have 19 years left at this point. But what if you were a football player, an NFL player, had those millions, you were a star or whatever, you played for the normal amount of time. I mean, if you're a quarterback, maybe you're retiring at between 37 and 38 or 37 and 40 years old. Same thing with like a kicker. Maybe if you're a wide receiver, maybe around 36, 37, and then running backs maybe a year or two earlier than that, on average.
I mean, really, running backs like 28, you're out the door.
Well, once you hit 30, you're basically cancer. So
yeah, so running backs literally have, most of them, like a 3 to 4 year window.
Yeah.
And the average NFL player actually is 3.5 years is that the average NFL career.
Yeah.
And you're right, but like the outliers is what you notice, because those are the ones that stay around forever. Tom Brady is not average. He's
no, he's not.
Any of the big name quarterbacks, you just forget over the years how many come and go.
Yeah. But let's just say, you retire at 34, 35. Let's say 35. That's how old I am right now. And you retire early. Normally in life, you're retiring at 65. Now it's like around 70. Even more than that in some cases, because it's just
can't afford it.
You just can't afford it. And so what kind of a life is retirement after that? So if I'm retiring at 35, have millions, but know that, I just could have, worked away 6-7 years of my life. Well, that at that point, I have about another half of my life left that I can use to enjoy the wealth that I have created with my family and friends and whatever. And I think at that point, I might take it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is exactly why I think this whole thought experiment is so interesting, is because there may be a price that you actually could put on something like that. Because if you feel like shortening your length of time, but also increasing your utility of life, is there like a good balance there, right? Like, is there a formula that you could be like, that works for each person, that you're like, okay, if I can increase the utility of my life by X percentage, I'm willing to take off X percentage of my life at the end, right?
Yeah.
So, Alan, how about you?
So when I was thinking about it, I was just like, well, it depends on what portion of my life we're talking about.
So actually, I'm going to bring that up a little bit later. But for this case, we're talking about the last year of your life.
The last year?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have this weird thing where I just don't ever want to die. Like, because one of my my biggest fears is dying and there just being nothing, no afterlife. That's like it's one of the things that scares me most is you die and then you just don't exist anymore.
It's black.
Nothing. And people always try and be like, well, you wouldn't even know anyway that you don't exist. And that's exactly the point. I don't want to not exist and not know anything. I like being conscious.
It's kind of a conundrum, though, huh? Because then you wouldn't exist, but you wouldn't know you didn't exist.
And they say that like that's consoling. I'm like, no, that's terrifying.
So basically, they're telling you you're going from existence and consciousness to non-existent, no consciousness.
Yeah, that's my fear, is non-existence and no consciousness.
But I guess you would never be able to actually experience your fear. Because
yes, Danny, I've had this conversation 500 times with people. That's exactly what they say, but it scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, well, understandable.
So
I could understand that. I'm just like playing devil's advocate.
He loves devil's advocate. I told him the other day, I was like, look, I know that you when you say I want to play devil's advocate, it's really you just stating that you're on that side of the argument. You're not just doing it for the hell of it. You're literally on the other side.
Well, I also
And this
would
is
not
just-
want to just perish into
I
nothingness.
know, but this is just your nice way of saying, let's agree to disagree.
So
No, I
maybe
think it's a valid point.
Maybe if I was in the NFL and I signed like a, let's say, $90 million contract, like Ezekiel Elliott, and then I retire with over $100 million total out of my career at like 35-ish, then maybe I take 60 million of that and just solely hire scientists and people to work on, make my life, prolong my life, but do it in a way that it's, I'm not just like a vegetable, for the end of it. Like
get another brain. I know I have CTE coming.
Oh.
really work on regenerative medicine.
Like figure out how to keep your telomeres, like with their little tails, without them shortening too much.
Which, if you don't know what
your telomeres,
if the listener doesn't know what those are the ends of your DNA that fray every time your cells split.
Yeah.
And that's why you start
older.
aging and getting older, is because parts of your DNA is like the coding gets damaged on the ends.
Could you cut them off like split ends?
I will hire somebody.
But to me, that would be the opposite of what you want to do, because you want to keep the length at all costs.
I will hire Ant-Man to go microscopic and rebraid the ends of my DNA.
Every single one of them. Single thing, every single strand. Like, and I'm going to be down here for a while.
How was work today, Ant-Man? Freaking my job sucks. It's like I work
a braid
all day. I like work on assembly line, basically.
Well, you got 50 trillion more to go.
And then by the time that he was done with just a few, you would have to start over because they would already be fraying again. And so you would have to have like a legion of Ant-Men.
And this would be too small if he went into the quantum world. You know that. But let's say he went into the quantum world and was able to do it. For him, time doesn't pass in the quantum world. So he could do all 50 trillion in no time for him.
For him, but for you, you'd be dead long ago.
It's all relative.
All right. So, what are your thoughts, Dan?
So, yeah, I mean, the first point.
No. That's a paradox. Because if he does do it, that means
keep
there's
living?
two realities if I really die because too much time went by, but he actually does it because no time goes by for him. That is physics right there. That's actual real stuff in physics. Is the quantum world does weird stuff like that. Where you can have two different.
How does that help
things
you? So
happen
you're
at the
saying
same time,
it's
two
you would
different
split
realities.
into, it would be Schrodinger's cat again? You would split, one of you is dead, one of you is
there
alive?
there would be an existence where I am still alive because he actually repaired all of my cells or DNA. But then there's another existence where I died. So there would be a split in reality where I go two separate ways.
But I don't think the question is one he was successful, one he wasn't. It was just like it would take too much time, period, for him to do it for you on the outside.
In my reality. But in his reality, he does it, so I am alive.
Okay, there's no right or wrong answer. I get what you're saying.
He wants
The
there
right
to be-
answer is they're both correct.
I mean,
That's how quantum
devil's
physics works.
advocate.
Stop saying devil's advocate.
That's how quantum physics works. Both are correct.
Yes,
at the
because
same
like
time.
everything is everything and everything
And
is
that's
nothing
real-
at the
that's real
same time.
physics,
Yeah. Okay. So,
It's real physics, guys.
which is true and it's very fascinating. But if you get me on this tangent and Alan on this tangent, we will see Trav walk out this door, come back next Thursday, and we will still be talking about it.
I think we did that one in an entertaining way.
Yeah.
Ant-Man.
No, I don't think
Just
it's
kidding.
unentertaining. I just mean that we could talk about this for literally
But
forever.
Trav likes Ant-Man.
Yeah.
I do like Ant-Man.
But I'm saying Trav could go into his quantum realm, drive home, spend the week, come back next week to record next week's episode, and we'd still be like, so hypothetically speaking, but we'd be very
You
dehydrated.
guys would. Yeah. You
Okay.
could go on for a long time. But
So let's focus this in a little bit, okay? So what if I were to say, what if you had to put a price on a year of your life? So it was now, I can sell a year of my life on the market. It's like an actual business transaction. what number would you have to receive in order to sell that year of your life? So say you could just like inject something and then it would siphon out 1 year worth of life force from you or whatever. You had it in a vial and somebody was interested in purchasing it. What would be the number, the minimum number that you would settle for?
$12,857,142.09.
Well done, Trev. That was very thought through. So we'd like a detailed description of what.
Well, if we're using the whole Ezekiel Elliott thing of $90 million, I'm just going to divide that by 7 years.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And that's about it. Because if that's really what we're talking about, because honestly, like in this scenario, we're talking not that we're just like on average, an NFL player is in the NFL for about 3 years. No, we're talking about like we're there for the long haul. We're making the big bucks, and that's what we have to make the decision on, right? So on a contract such as the one that Eazy-E just got, $90 million. I can't remember over how.
6 years.
6 years. Yeah. But we'll say for 7, just for the hell of it. And so, yeah, that comes down to like, whatever I said. $12 million something. Almost $13 million per year.
Okay, that's good. Alan, any specific number that you would, or are you going to go with the same number?
That exact number. You can say that.
Well... Yeah, I mean, as long as I can invest that money into restoring my health.
Now, honestly,
you wouldn't want to use that money for anything else.
Well, as long as I can use like 60% of it, 70% of it to restore my health.
What else would you want to use this money for?
I'm good with just 30% of that much.
Like, would you want to use it to like travel anywhere?
Well, we've talked about what I would do with money before. I would buy a spaceship. Ding 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 ding. I would pull an Elon Musk.
You're so gay. Oh, I shouldn't say that.
Jeez, Jack.
I meant lame.
We're not PC here. They know that we don't really mean.
So Trav and I had a discussion yesterday about how long it would take you to get to the point where you would talk about buying a spaceship in this episode. And 30-something minutes was the answer.
Yeah, but you baited him. We didn't make a bet. He just like, you bet he'll talk about doing that. And I was like, well, probably. But now here he is. He's sitting there. He's like, well, yeah, but you sure you wouldn't go on a trip? Like, where would you go? What would you do with that money, Alan?
I didn't say how it would get there. I just said it would get there. But yeah, no. So I guess I would undercut the market then. If you guys are both going with about 12.8 million, it sounds like the money or the number that I came up with was actually $10 million. And I came up with that money because I felt like 10 million was a number that I realistically probably will never make in a single year of my life without some kind of good fortune or luck, right? And it's also enough that once I got a lump sum of $10 million, then I could use that. And if I invest it wisely, I can live the rest of my life without having to work a job I don't want to work. And a caveat to this, though, 10 million, assuming the state of Utah and the federal government are not going to take a piece of my money in taxes.
So it's net 10 million.
Yep.
Okay.
So maybe
I was just assuming we were talking net the whole time.
Yeah, so did I, but
well, if you guys are getting salaries like Eazy-E, he's paying taxes.
Okay, I didn't say. I said if we're talking about an amount of money, then that is the specific amount. Like I want that in hand.
Okay, so you want that net?
Yes,
yes, and I would also want my net. If the market was established by you guys, and you guys were getting 12.8, I would probably go 12.7. Because I would want to sell.
Do you just treat everything like its price is right?
Or a competition?
Like, I will sell my year of life for 12.7. Ding, 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 yeah!
I got closest without going over.
Drew Carey!
No, it's just because, like, if that was the market, I wouldn't want to, like, get screwed over. I'd want to be, like, in the right price range, but also where my merchandise goes first. So, but yeah. So that's the monetary amount. Those were good answers. And I'm kind of surprising that all three of us came up with a number, though, that was within, I mean, 10 million to 12.8 million. It's not like somebody was like $1 billion or somebody was like $100 in a Snickers.
I mean, we're realistic here.
Because also the trade-off is you're getting rid of the worst years of your life, or like, well, I don't know if the worst, but like the tend to be like the older you get, the worse, the lower your quality of life, to massively increase your quality of life overall.
Also, like if I especially knew that, you know, the like basically what you're talking about, like the year that I'm getting rid of is like, you know, my 76th year, then yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess
yeah.
if I did know that like I was going to die at 40 and I started getting rid of like 7 years, I'd be like, no.
Because you would die like next year.
Yeah.
So, let's change this, like expand a little bit. Now, we know how much you would sell 1 year for, or how much we'd all sell 1 year for.
Wait.
What if the question was, would you sell multiple years of your life? Would you? And if so, like, if I came to Trav and I said, I want to do this transaction, I'd like to purchase a year of your life. Here's 12.8 million. You say, okay, thank you. And then I'm like, oh, I come back a week later. I'm like, you know, I really enjoyed that year of your life. Like, I would like to purchase another one, and I give you another 12.8 million. Would you then give me another year of your life?
I'd probably be good with 12.8 million, like just for once. So
the answer would be
probably then no.
No.
Yeah, I'd probably.
Ellen, if I did the same to you?
I would say, if you just buy 2 right now, I'll give it to you for 20.
You're making deals.
Well, but he came back a week later, so then you would sell 2 more for 20, and so he would have 3 years total.
Versus 1 for 12 point something.
So you would value the second year for less than the first year.
He's just giving you a
I
good
gotta
deal,
give him
man.
a good deal, so he takes it
But the point is, you do want to sell it.
for 20 million because I already established. I thought earlier we were already talking about like 7 years of your life because we were talking about the NFL.
Well, no, yeah,
But
it's
then we
based, based
But
on
then
that.
we did 1 year. How much would you charge for 1 year? And you said 12.8.
I would sell up to 7 for deals if I had to.
See, because I would not. Like, for me, there would be a diminishing return on the money. Because once I had the first 10 million, I don't want to sell the second year for another 10 million because my lifestyle and my life will not improve much for that second year worth of of selling my
My
life.
thinking is, how much can I really improve regenerative medicine with just 12 million? I need to get that like up to
there you
90-ish
there you're in
million-ish.
like a this conundrum.
Because if I just sell one,
keep
then I'm
selling
like,
years.
I can't add this year back into my life by doing regenerative
He's
medicine.
selling
or like
years of his life to
advancing-
hopefully get them back with the money that he's earned.
He could have just never sold them in the first place.
I explained already. Just
Yeah.
70% of it toward getting my life back. Then I would still have 30% of 90-ish million.
So what if you get to the
left.
point where now you're like in desperation mode because you've sold off so much of your life that you're down to like, you've sold off 40 years of your life. You have $1 billion in hand, but you like, I have like 1 year to get this figured out because I now have a buttload of money, but no hard science to say that I can increase the longevity of my life.
Then I immediately take what I have left of the money and go find someone else and buy their life.
That's not part of the deal.
You guys ever seen the movie In Time?
As I was just going to bring up.
Okay, I couldn't
Remind me.
yeah.
That one
With
sounds
Justin-
familiar.
with Justin
Timberlake.
Timberlake.
Oh yeah. I actually really like the concept of that movie. I just don't think that it was done super well.
So it's a little bit kind of similar, right? Except for in that, time is currency.
Yep. And
So-
everyone stops aging at 25,
Yeah.
and they may remain 25 as far as like physically until they
So long
die.
as they have time in their account.
Yeah.
But like that's the thing. It's like the rich people, like money is non-existent. It's literally time. And people are buying cars and homes and just food, paying rent, all of this with paying from time from your life. And so I mean, like, I wonder, like, if in that aspect, like, I remember watching that movie and being like, this would suck so much, because you literally have a reminder on your wrist of when you are going to die.
Unless you can work and gain more time or sell something and get more time.
Yep.
So I mean, that's an interesting concept and a direction that I wasn't necessarily planning on going in, but I'm glad that you brought it up. So using that thing, what if every single person was born with 100 years of time on their time clock, right? But time is currency. So in order to eat, it is like that conundrum. Like, I got to spend some of it to buy food so that I can eat and survive, right?
That's basically what my plan was. Regenerate your body by spending the money you made by selling your time.
But yeah, so I mean, I can see it, but like, knowing that, would your direction that you would choose to go be, I'm going to be super conservative and like, I'm going to just get by with like the very minimum that I can and live like a long, like 90-year life, because I can live through the whole time with spending like 10 years of my life as the currency, right? Or would you go the opposite way and be like, I'm going to go hog wild. I'm going to only have 30 years on Earth, but I'm going to have one heck of a 30 years.
I can tell you that would probably solve the world's obesity problem.
Yeah.
Because nobody would like, man, if I eat. Well, see, there you find yourself in a weird situation as well. Conundrum. Keep saying the word conundrum, but it's like, if I eat, I will die sooner. But if I don't eat, I'll die too.
But like, there are actually
there
have been studies that show that lower calorie diets, you actually live longer.
Oh yeah.
The less calories you take in.
Yeah, and
Like-
and what types of calories you're taking in too, because your body doesn't have to work in overtime to like digest them and process everything.
Basically,
So
processed foods.
you could find
Basically
a happy,
everything
You can find
I
a
love.
happy medium of just like a low calorie
Chips,
diet, but like you're still surviving,
burritos.
and then you actually live longer.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is like, you could go that route. You could go like the monk route or whatever, and say, I'm going to live
Hamburgers.
I'm going to live 90 years, but
That's the monk route.
well, like,
Chili
but I'm
cheese
gonna
dogs.
eat, the minimum, just enough to keep me alive, like, and do that. And I don't need anything extravagant
Pizza.
or lavish. And I'm gonna live a long time, and I can have more experiences on Earth that way. Or the flip side is like, go balls to the wall for like the whole time you're on Earth, but your time on Earth will be very short comparatively.
You're like, but yeah, man, I lived.
So that would be the interesting trade-off, if you were.
If you've never seen the movie, go. I mean, I'm sure you can rent it somewhere. Well, not like at a Blockbuster; those things don't exist anymore. But like on,
It's not the best movie,
but on Amazon, yeah, it's not like the greatest
interesting,
movie.
but
But
it's-
Speaking of
it's worth a watch.
a company that ran out of time, Blockbuster.
Blockbuster, poor Blockbuster.
Nobody hear my joke?
What'd you say?
Said it's not the best movie, but it's worth a watch.
Pun
I thought you were going to say it's worth.
I mean,
your
I heard it.
time.
I heard it, but I didn't. It didn't occur to me what you're doing. So okay, well,
So now we've established that. So this is more of just understanding, like, how do you feel like yourself when you were younger would have handled this same question, right? So if now you're 18 instead of 35, or I'm 36, or Alan's 32, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're 18, how much would you sell a year of your life for in this scenario? Would it be less? Would it be more?
oh, I'm sure. Well, I'm pretty much betting that 18-year-old self would be more willing to sell it, but the price would be astronomical. And the only reason why I say that is because there is no, like, I mean, somebody says, oh, they will buy something from you. You're trying to get the absolute most out of it. Like when you're a kid, it's just the more money, the better, right? I mean, that's the way now, but at least we're making.
Well, to a certain extent, if you were like 4, you might be like, the biggest number might be like 20.
Well, yeah, but you said 18, so
Yeah.
I'm talking like if I was 18, I would be the guy that would be like, yeah, I'd sell you a year of my life. $1 billion. $10 billion.
$100 million.
So, I mean, at least here we're, making sense of it by using the analogy of being an elf. An elf. NFL.
The average elf lifespan is...
They're like hundreds of years. If you've ever watched Elf. But anyway, so yeah, to answer your question, I'd probably be more willing to give away my life, but it would the starting price would be probably a lot higher than what we just talked about here.
See, that's interesting that you say that, because I think mine would have almost been opposite.
Really?
Like, I think being young, 18, your outlook on life is, I'm 18, I have so much life left.
Well, no, that's why I said, like, I'm willing to give it away, but...
If I sell a year of my life, like, I'm not as cognizant of what that necessarily means at the time, because when you're 18, you think... I mean, really, like, you're just... The way you think of things is so different than even now when I'm 36. So it's like... 18 years have passed since I was 18, so it's literally like half my life ago. And now I actually see and feel the mortality, right, of my own life. I'm like, wow, like, it's crazy, but if I really think about it, if I were to double my life again, I would very much, there's a good chance I'd be right at the end of it, towards the end of it. And I would be in the last stretch or whatever. But when you're that young, you don't really think of it that way. It's everything you think of is so much like in the future. Like, when I grow up, I'm going to get this good job. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get married. I'm going to, like you see things a little like from a different perspective than you do.
Oh yeah.
Now, because now it's like, yes, sometimes I can trick myself into thinking, hey, when I grow up, what do I want to be? But I'm like, I am grown up. I'm pretty much probably am what I am.
I am what I am going to be.
Yeah.
Or am going to be what I was.
So it doesn't mean I can't
I am.
Make small improvements, but it's not like the realities of being like, I can be anything I want to be. I want to be an astronaut, are probably over. The chances of me now going to NASA and them being like, yeah, let's take on a 36-year-old who knows nothing about being an astronaut, who can't even go on rides at Lagoon without feeling sick.
Oh, yeah, you wouldn't make it.
And then I just don't have that option anymore, where when I was 18...
You're just trying to make
it was
me
a real
sad.
Possibility. Well, 32, you're fine.
Yeah, no, you got 4 years before you become this guy.
But I was going to say, I kind of I get what Travis is saying, that he would be willy-nilly just like, yeah, I'll sell it, but his price would be outrageous because at that age you're naive, you're a lot more naive to the true value of money. So you'd be like, $12 million, maybe $100 million.
Yeah.
But you get to this age where you actually know the value of money, like what you could do with $12 million, you'd be like, yeah, $12 million is a lot of money. I can do a ton with that.
What if you took a finance class in high school and you at least understood the basic concept of the time value of money? So if you know that, then you're like, okay, if I took $10 million when I'm 18, that's worth a lot more potentially to me in my life than taking $10 million is at 36, because now you have 18 years of being able to use that money to enjoy the benefits from that money, and also to invest that money and earn interest, right?
Basically, this is the part where Danny likes to introduce something to the whole scenario that wasn't there, so that we kind of more side with what he was doing.
This is the crap I had to grow up with.
He's like, all right, you guys didn't do exactly what I said, so let me throw this in there.
I grew up with this crap.
In high school.
It pissed me off because he would make up a game for us to play. He would tell us the rules, and we would be like, I don't think that's fair, but that's the rules. We'll play it like that. And then he just make up new rules and change them all of a sudden, just doing the exact same thing like that. And we'd be like, what? These weren't the rules. He's like, these are the game. This is the game.
But this is how life works. You never can anticipate the variables that will be thrown at you, and you have to be able to be willing to change and shift.
He's like,
right?
All right, yeah, okay. So you guys would not ask for cheaper. So, but what if you took a finance class? Would you be cheaper then? Sure, I'm guessing if you're putting it in that way, but you know what? I didn't take a finance class in high school, and I still don't know a lot about finance. So
basically, he just took my argument of you're older, so you know more about finance, and so you lower your price. And he's like, "Well, now you're just younger, and you know more about finance."
I'm just throwing scenarios out there, much like this scenario. So now we're gonna go to like one last large concept, and that is no longer are you selling it for money, okay? Money is not an option, but you can sell it for something other than money. Would you, A, and B, what would you sell that year of your life for? Like, what would you value that year of your life for outside of monetary stuff?
that
Like,
would be...
Would you sell your life for a puppy?
No.
Would you sell it for a car?
In the movie, I mean, spoiler alert, in the movie In Time, he was like, wasn't he like trying to give his mom some of his time because his mom was running out of time?
Yep.
Yeah, she was
And
like
then-
getting off the bus from work.
And then he was like running toward her while her clock was ticking down. And then right before he got to her, she like dropped dead because she ran out of time.
Yeah.
Just in case you wanted to know.
But how does that answer my question?
Because in that case, he was trying to give up his time to save his mom.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're saying you would sell time for time,
I would like
Yeah.
to
give to
for
maybe,
humanitarian reasons.
Yeah, if you were a father and your kid was running out of time,
That would
or something,
probably...
you would give him a year probably pretty easily.
Yeah,
Give your son a year.
as a parent myself, that's probably, or a spouse, just giving extra time would probably be the only thing. Like if it's not monetary, because like when you originally asked that, I was like, well, you know, making sure that my family is fine, at least my family, like after I'm gone or throughout, like my kids will be able to go to college and it's all paid for and all that stuff, you know. But if we're talking about just like some tangible item that is not currency, then I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there would be anything.
Yeah.
Maybe a
So I mean,
PlayStation VR.
thoughts that I had, and actually, what Alan said was kind of one of the things that I thought I may or that someone may do it for, and that's for like the benefit of like a large sum of people or other people, right? So like if someone came to you and is like, give me a year of your life or I like kill 1 million people, then it probably would be worth the trade-off for most people to say, okay, I will give you that year of my life because I don't want these 1 million people to die, right? But other things are like, would you give up time for fame?
No.
Like, would fame matter enough to you to give up the time?
I personally do not care for fame, so no.
No, not really.
All right, how about good looks?
I'm already good looking, so
Dang it, Trav, you took my joke. I was going to say, like, I wouldn't have to sell. Like, I would
I was gonna say like I could
be a buyer.
I could actually see there being people in the world, and this is gonna get a little bit maybe dark and morbid.
Danny likes this then.
But I could see
Why do
people.
I like this?
I could see there would be at least a few people in the world full of enough hate towards somebody that say they were like just on their deathbed, super sick and in a lot of pain, and want just like ready to die, and just them giving them time and making them live longer and longer.
Oh, I see.
Just
So,
that
like,
sheer
somebody
hate.
who wanted to
make
die,
basically
they, like,
torture
prevent from
them. Yeah.
dying
giving them an extra life. They're like,
by slowly killing themselves.
Yeah. So you
That
could
would
give
be
time
pretty
out
messed
of
up.
love, or you give time out of just like sheer hate.
You would really have to hate somebody, though, to hate
give
them
up
so
your
much, to
life.
give up your life.
Yeah, but if you're
to
that
keep them around
if you're
longer.
that full of hate, you're probably not too happy anyway.
You're also probably
not like-
narcissistic, which means that you're probably very self-involved and
that's true.
wouldn't care much. But still, you know what? People who hate other people do stupid things. So. But anyway.
That is true. So the one thing that I thought about that I'm like, I think I would actually give up a year of my life for knowledge and specific knowledge. If you could be like,
Aliens.
I want to know
Where are they?
something specific, but I'm willing to pay with time, then that would be the transaction that I would do. And the thing that I would want to know is if I could go and be like, okay, I want to know, is there an afterlife? Is there a heaven? And how do I get there? What's it like? Like, if I can know all that stuff, I would give up time, because if they were like, yeah, look, there's a heaven, this is how you get in.
Yeah, but
this is what it's like. Then
See-
I'm like, sweet, because even if I die a year earlier, I know where I'm going, and I know like
But
what
if
it's
you're,
like.
unless you're like religious and you like absolutely have faith, you know, that there is an afterlife already, you're kind of throwing the dice there. Like,
Well, Daniel,
you're-
I know
you're risking a
two-
year of your life to find out there's no afterlife.
I know
and then
two
you're like, oh no.
young
Yeah.
gentlemen.
Actually, it could backfire quickly if that was the answer. It's like, thank
Yeah.
you for the year, and no, there's not. You're like, dang it.
I know two young gentlemen who can visit your home and talk to you about these things and tell you that there is an afterlife.
Yeah, but I need to know for sure. It's not
Jehovah's
hypothetical.
All about
Witnesses?
faith, man. So,
But yeah, no, I mean, but you'd only give it up if you know you had good, solid, undeniable intel. And yes, I know that is another way to say faith, but I'm saying like faith that is I can see a contract with, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, this is how it is, this is how it works.
But okay, never mind. I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna bring up the show because I'm not gonna spoil it. But I just started watching The Good Place.
it's great show.
I had no idea what it was about, but everybody was like, "It's so good."
It
I
is.
just thought it
It's
was like
a
a
good show.
I had no idea that it had anything to do with like the afterlife and all that stuff. Like I thought,
thought
it was
it-
just another sitcom.
I thought you've been watching it for a while, and it's like your favorite show, and like that's how you just became obsessed with like the trolley problem.
no,
no.
because they talk about that.
Well, I know because I came up. We talked
And
about the
Kristen
trolley
Bell's
problem,
amazing.
and then people at my work when I was like, when I was like at work telling people about our episode. Oh yeah, we did a segment on the trolley problem. They're like, "Have you watched The Good Place?" I'm like, "No." Like, you should. You gotta watch The Good Place. They talk about the trolley problem and all that stuff. But
Good.
Okay, so do you guys have anything else as
No.
far as what we've already discussed?
I think this
or
was a-
do I get to throw in one last wrinkle, because that's what I do? The wrinkle is I'm just changing one variable, Trav and Alan. And I know you guys don't like when I change variables, but I am, because I'm the game master. Is that what game masters do? I don't know. I've never played.
Played what?
Is it Dungeons and Dragons?
You're like, I've never played games.
My experience, my exposure to it is Stranger Things.
Yeah.
So. But anyway, no. So like, if the variable I were to change is like, okay, like Alan said at the beginning, no longer is the year that you're giving up necessarily the last year of your life, but instead will be selected at random through like a random number generating machine, or maybe you spin a wheel and whatever number it lands on, you lose that year of your life and anything that occurred in that year of your life. So if it happened, if the number is greater than the age that you are, then really nothing will change for you other than you just like wake up a year later all of a sudden.
I am going to.
The flip side would be you could miss out on like maybe it lands on 7. So now
Yeah.
you have anything that happened during your 7th year no longer happened or existed or whatever.
Yeah, it's
I think the 7th year of my life is totally expendable.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a lot of stuff from the past, maybe especially like when I was a kid, probably not that big of a deal. But I think it's also too risky, and especially now that I have a family with kids, and if I were to miss like a whole year of their lives, not worth it. Not worth any bit of money. So easy answer to me is no. I would not do that.
Alan?
Well, say it was you were worried about the year that your kid was born, and then they wouldn't be born.
Yeah, and that was my exact
So-
situation that I came up with.
In that case, I might roll the dice because it's only 1 year that it can land on that your kid's not born. Other than that, you missed a year of your kid's life, and then they're still alive. You can go and try and make amends or something. You only have to avoid that 1 year that they were born out of 100.
I mean,
something.
that
You got
works.
1 in 100. It's a one. You got 99% chance that your kid's not going to die.
I mean, but that works unless you have multiple kids, and then suddenly you have more than a 1% chance. that one of them, it lands on one of the
But
years.
still,
of their
each
life.
kid is just 1%.
And then, but I
Too
think
much of a risk.
I'm not a father, so
yeah, no, and
that's
what I was going to say is I think that's just the difference between being a parent and not being a parent, and it's just completely normal because I probably would have had a very similar answer to Alan pre-kids, right?
Yeah. Basically,
once you go post-kid,
I didn't cry at like stupid like Hallmark commercials or freaking America's Got Talent has me in tears all the time.
What?
Because
they're so talented, little kids.
because your children make you flippin' soft. They make you sad.
Yeah.
I mean, they make you happy, but like they make you cry.
So you get
So I-
sad when they. What do they?
I'm just saying,
boot people off.
When,
or something?
yeah, or no, not that. It's like just they come on, they have these back stories, and then they go out on stage and they kill it, and then they get the gold buzzer or whatever, and you got this like 10-year-old kid who's got like 2 limbs who can juggle that are just crying his eyes out. This is the greatest thing ever, and you're like,
Don't you normally
Yeah.
juggle with 2 limbs?
I'm saying he's missing 2 limbs. No, that's not like a real scenario. But I just
And if
threw
it
that
was
out
the
there.
arms, that's amazing.
But I know. No, so I'm just when we're talking about just mindset of being a parent versus not being a parent, it changes you completely because like that becomes the only thing that you pretty much base everything off of.
Yeah. What it does is it completely changes your risk profile.
Yeah.
So anybody who's like, and then, a finance guy or something, they completely understand a risk profile. A customer's risk profile is basically like, how much would they be willing? Do you want to be all in stocks? Do you want to be all in safe bonds? What do you want to be in? Well, before you're a parent, you really only have yourself, maybe a spouse to worry about. And that's what you're basing your risk off of. So yeah, if I lose a random year of my life, the biggest thing that I could lose is probably the year that I like met my wife, and that would be huge. I wouldn't want to lose that, but
she
the
wouldn't
kids,
die.
Yeah, but the kids would be like it's not worth. Even though it's a 1% chance, hypothetically, it's not worth that chance anymore. It's kind of like if someone were to come up to you with like a gun and say, we're going to play Russian roulette, but guess what? You're in luck. We're not playing with a 6-chamber revolver. We're playing with a 100-chamber revolver. You want to play. And if you do and you shoot and you live, we'll give you $10 million. If you die, then, well, that sucks. Would you take that chance?
If it's somebody else's life, yeah.
But if it's your own life, I think a lot of people
my own
would
life,
not.
Gives me an idea for another quick question for another week, which we'll get to. But
Okay. But yeah, so I think we covered this pretty well.
yeah, so thanks guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed the conversation. We'd like to, of course, we'll definitely post this on social media, and we'd like to hear from you. If this is, something that you would do, would you trade a year of your life for any amount of money? So we'll get that going on there. Of course, make sure you visit our website, qcopodcast.com, and we are available pretty much anywhere podcasts are available as well. But that is Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, and then make sure that you go to our YouTube channel and click the subscribe button, please. And then we've mentioned our social media before. And that's not email, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, which is all QCO Podcasts. So, and then please leave us 5 stars if you've enjoyed the show. And don't forget that these episodes release every Friday. And then we also have our bonus Dream-isode episodes, which nothing to do with this actual show, but it's just something fun that we like to do. Those are
If you
like
like good stories.
Yeah, if you like good stories and just a lot of laughing, then those are the ones for you. And those come out on every Monday, at least until Danny stops streaming. So,
And like Trav said, I just want to make this point because we really, really like the ratings and the reviews will go a long way in helping us. So if you, like Trav said, if you enjoy this at all, it's free. It only takes a minute or 2 of your time. Just go down, give us 5 stars, give us a good review. We'd appreciate it. And it would help us, hopefully be more visible to others.
so thanks again, guys, for listening, and we will catch you next week.